Hello viewers and welcome to another match of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. My name is Mitch and I am the Hive Tyrant. Today, I present the final match of the second OCTGN tournament, a 19-person event put on by Polish Octagon user Prezi, as well as his meta. At the bottom of our screen, we see Prezi. He happens to be playing as our second to-be-released Astra Militarum faction warlord Torquemada Coteaz, and up north, we have his opponent for this final game. This is boreas, or boreas. Both of our players have decided whether or not they want to keep their opening hands. Looks like Prezi did decide to keep, and his Dark Eldar adversary is still in the process of deciding. So, just in regard to what Prezi has at his disposal, keep in mind Coteaz, one of our least often seen warlords, does start the game with an additional card and resource relative to almost all of our others, but he's got a copy of Catachan Outpost to boost his base attack value of 0 up to at least something. He's got some area effect, which is going to be nice against those relatively low HP Cabalites. Copy of Captain Marcus, 10th Company Scout, Sakhalem Shrine Guard for some early game economy, and then troop transport is always a delight, especially considering we've got planets 2, 3, and 4 are all going to be green. Elysian Assault Team to assist with soldiers, of course, and looks like Boreas did decide to keep his opening hand. So for our Dark Eldar player, we've got a copy of Rogue Trader, Void Pirate. We also have 2 signature army units, in addition to a copy of Raid and Sowing Chaos. So bear in mind, Coteaz generally plays a lot of kind of inexpensive units that are high in volume or high in number, and we've only got the 3 blue planets on the table. So this is definitely going to be a risky place for Coteaz to deploy any of his units. Coteaz by himself isn't going to be able to do any command sniping or anything like that, but he does now have a Catachan Outpost on the table, so Coteaz, for instance, could show up to planet number 2 and kill off this Void Pirate. Archon Salaine Morn is a 2/7 relative to Coteaz's 0/8. Whenever a Cabalite or Raider enters play under her control at a red planet, she regains 1 resource, but at present we've only got Cabalites at planets 4, or sorry, we've only got red material icons at planets 4 and 5. So we could see a Shadowthorn's Pillager during deploy phase, played out for 2, and then you regain 1 resource, and then we could see another during combat, just to spread out some more economy for our Dark Eldar player, but definitely nothing too powerful for our Archon to start the game, and I guess I'm really curious to see what happens with planet number 1. Eloith is currently under contest. If you win a battle at it, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, you add any one of those cards to your hand, but really neither of our players has a big scary combat unit that you'd normally see thrown out to planet 1. I guess Coteaz does lay down a copy of Captain Marcus, his 2/3 unique loyal unit from the core set, but through these blue tech icons, we're not going to be able to see a victory until as early as planet number 5, something that always kind of throws a wrench in either player's plans, just in regard to how free they are with deploying units or not. Is our planet 4 here Taurus? So if either of our players sends their warlord to this planet, if their unit count is going to be lower than their opponent, they do have the option of triggering that battle ability and winning 3 cards or 3 resources. So Archon Salaine Morn is currently sitting at 3 units. Coteaz is also sitting at 3 units, but Coteaz can pop 2 1/2 soldier trait guardsman tokens at planet 4 if it does seem beneficial for him to do so. So if Coteaz were to go to planet number 4, he'd have to kill the Rogue Trader, and then it would be 3 units versus 2. He would not be able to activate that ability, but at present, if Archon Salaine Morn arrives at that planet, she's not going to be able to decrease her unit count if she were to go to this planet, her unit count will be equal to Coteaz. So I wouldn't be shocked if neither of our players goes to that planet, but it looks like Coteaz just wants to make absolute certain that Archon Salaine Morn might not go to that planet, because he's put down a copy of Tactical Squad Cardenas there. It's got Area Effect 1, it's a 1/3. Archon Salaine Morn can only attack for 2, so she'd have to take a couple swings at the tactical squad. It could attack for 1. The troop transport could result in 2 guardsman tokens, and then altogether those could definitely kind of deter our Archon from that planet. So we've got Raid as an option, but note that Boreas still has a whopping 5 resources. Coteaz is going to show up at planet 2. Archon Salaine Morn instead is going to go to planet 5. So planet 5 is Karrnath, which allows you to trigger the battle ability of any planet, whether that's Taurus. Planet number 3, by the way, is Planum, which allows you to relocate a non-Warlord unit, but that's not going to be too tremendously useful in the context of not really having any units sitting out on the tabletop. So it looks like command is going to be 1 at planets 1 through 3 for Coteaz, and then planet number 5 is going to be Boreas' only source of income. So they just happen to stumble upon a copy of Rogue Trader, and Prezi ended up with 3 cards and 3 resources, so he definitely fared quite a bit better than our Dark Eldar player. In fact, he fared 3 times as good, and now for battle, really the only kind of interesting thing we could have happen is we could see a double Shadowed Thorns Pillagers played at planet number 1, but it looks like both of our players have passed on actions. I guess Coteaz has initiative at 1. Both players have passed, so this planet is going to be captured by Prezi, but really the only thing we could have maybe seen our Dark Eldar player to do to contest Coteaz's presence at that planet would be to double ambush the signature army units. Captain Marcus could have swung, potentially killed 1, then the remaining 1 could have swung in response and damaged Marcus, and without any kind of shielding, our Dark Eldar player would have potentially lost both of those units. So it looks like that was just a rather difficult planet for Archon Salaine Morn to try to defend. Raid is certainly useful as a shield, but Archon's Terror cannot remove uniques from a planet. So we've also got battles occurring at 2 and 5. We've got Catachan Outpost that's going to augment Torquemada Coteaz up to 2 base attack value. And now what are we going to see? Coteaz is going to be able to swing at the Void Pirates. He's going to be able to kill it unless we see Raid used as a shield or Sowing Chaos or any other effect. And of course, 1 less blue planet on the tabletop means 1 less location where Sowing Chaos could potentially hurt Coteaz. Looks like that Void Pirate did end up being destroyed. There was no need for us to pop troop transport, and just note that Coteaz now has a copy of 2 arms, so he's going to be able to potentially trigger Catachan Outpost twice during the same round. He's got a preemptive barrage if he manages to isolate Archon Salaine Morn on 1 planet, potentially bloody her, and he came across another copy of Troop Transport, so I'll be very curious to see how things work out here. Ossus 4 was going to be triggered by Prezis. That's +1 resource for him, -1 resource for our Dark Eldar player, but now, very interesting choice. It looks like Karrnath was won by Archon Salaine Morn, entirely uncontested, and 2 units versus 4 units means that Karrnath did afford Boreas the opportunity to trigger Taurus, and he decided to pull in 3 resources. So we've gone through an HQ phase. Both of our players have come across an additional 4 resources and 2 cards. Prezi is at 8 resources, 9 cards, whereas Boreas is at 12 resources and 8 cards. The initiative token is now in the possession of Archon Salaine Morn. Prezi only has 1 blue technology icon, and it looks like we've finally seen another red planet, which definitely favors the Archon, and that's going to be Farron, which allows you to route a non-Warlord unit. So Coteaz currently has access to 3 2-shield value cards. He's got access to 2 copies of Preemptive Barrage. If there's really anything Torquemada Coteaz does well, it's Warlord Assassination. You sack a unit at his planet, you give him +3 attack for his next attack. You could sacrifice, I don't know, like let's say you've got a Rattling Deadeye sitting at a planet, you attack during the ranged skirmish round for 1, then you sacrifice it to Coteaz, you use Catachan Outpost on Coteaz, you use 2 arms to ready the Catachan Outpost, and then you use it again on Coteaz. That would allow him to attack for 7, and you could even do Preemptive Barrage, and then if you're sacrificing Coteaz's henchmen to Coteaz, they've got their interrupt where they ready your Warlord, so he could potentially just deal out a huge amount of damage all at ranged, and our Dark Eldar player doesn't exactly have a monumental number of shield cards in hand. So we've got that second troop transport out on the tabletop. Note that Archon Salaine Morn does happen to have a copy of Warp Storm in case our AM player ends up reaching critical mass at planet number 1. Archon Salaine Morn lays down a copy of Hellion Gang. It's a raider, but it's not deployed to a red material type icon possessing planet, so therefore it affords her no refund at this blue/green planet. So the Sakhalem Shrine Guard has currently been played at this location, but it's in jeopardy of being destroyed if we do see a copy of Sowing Chaos. Boreas has passed at this point, and now it's all going to be up to Prezi. What exactly does he want to do? Looks like Archon Salaine Morn, despite her predilection for accumulating resource tokens, her economy is hurting a little bit, despite having been able to trigger Taurus, because note that at planet number 5, we've got a rogue trader tossed out by Archon Salaine Morn, but it's going to be opposite a copy of the 2-command icon possessing Sanctioned Psyker. Planet number 1, we've got a copy of Rattling Deadeye. It's only going to be able to attack for 1 during ranged, but at the very least, it's kind of blocking off the income of Archon Salaine Morn, and now we're seeing a 10th Company Scout at planet number 3, and we've got a copy of Coteaz's Henchman at planet number 1. So Coteaz is going to have his movement restricted somewhat, owing to the presence of Captain Marcus here. Obviously, Archon Salaine Morn has access to far fewer units than does Coteaz, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Coteaz arrive to Karnath, just in case Archon Salaine Morn shows up, so he could beat the crap out of her, and Taurus is looking like it's actually reasonably well defended against Archon Salaine Morn. She could show up, she could maybe kill the 10th Company Scout, but now there's two copies of a troop transport that are definitely going to throw a spanner in her plans, and if you pop these one at a time, you can even minimize the amount of damage you take from your opponent using a copy of Warp Storm. And of course, this Elysian Assault team is going to make it all the more difficult for Archon Salaine Morn to actually manage to win this match. So like I said, this is kind of a Polish meta tournament. It had 19 total entrants. Our player Boreas here went 4 wins and 2 losses, and Prezi at the bottom of the screen, he actually ended up going 5 wins and 1 loss. And it's actually a little bit of a refresher for me going into this match, knowing it was going to be Astra Militarum versus Dark Eldar. I was expecting Packmaster Kith and Broderick War, so consider me rather delighted that it's actually Coteaz versus Archon Salaine Morn. But would you talk about the economic slaughter here? Planets 1, 2, 3, and 5, that is all going to be Coteaz. Just the Inquisition is just raking it in. Archon Salaine Morn shows up at planet number 4. That was kind of an obvious move to me, but Archon Salaine Morn's not going to be able to win command on any of these planets. Torquemada by himself is going to be able to swing for 2 or 4 thanks to that 2 arms, and things are just looking pretty rough for the Archon. During our command phase, that was a total of 2 cards and 6 resources for Prezi, and he ended up drawing another copy of an Elysian Assault team in case Captain Marcus is leaving play. Looks like we've actually got Catachan Outpost at planet number 1, augmenting the Rattling Deadeye. It's going to be able to shoot for 3, but you cut that in half and then round up prior to your opponent's opportunity to shield. Even though, like, Hellion Gang is a flying unit, is why I bother mentioning this. Interestingly, it looks like we need not use a shield card. We see Archon's Terror remove the Rattling Deadeye from that first planet, and this Hellion Gang, we could see one copy of Troop Transport result in 2 Guardsman tokens, and then through whittling away this enemy unit, that like, who cares if it's 1 attack halved and then rounded back up to 1, you're still going to be able to clear out the enemy here. So Archon Salaine Morn does have initiative. We do not see this attack shielded, so Coteaz's henchmen take 2 points of damage from the Hellion Gang. The Hellion Gang itself does not end up being... it is not shielded. So let's see, we're going to come to the end of a combat round. Is either of our players going to retreat? Are we going to see troop transport? Okay, we're going to see troop transport used. In my mind, it was either going to be troop transport resulting in guardsman tokens now, or it was going to be waiting until a new combat round, the Coteaz's henchmen are killed, and then we see the troop transport pop, just because that would be a good opportunity for a warp storm right now to kind of clear out some of these. But it looks like what we're actually seeing happen is we see that Shadowed Thorn's Pillager being ambushed into play. Unfortunately, there's no refund since this is not a red planet, and now let's just see what exactly happens here. So the Shadowed Thorn's Pillager is a 2/2. It's going to go ahead and take a swing at that Guardsman token, so 1 Guardsman token ends up being destroyed. At some point, we could see 1 or both of these Elysian Assault teams, and of course, there's also a copy of Troop Transport. So that Guardsman token at immediately prior to the end of the round is going to take a swing at the Hellion Gang, and we see Sowing Chaos discarded as a shield, so Captain Marcus would have been immune to Sowing Chaos. The Sakhalem Shrine Guard would have been the only affected unit. And I don't exactly think investing 2 resources and a card to just kill 1 resource worth of units would have been, kind of a favorable trade here. So let us see if we're going to see a second troop transport, or if we just see the Elysian Assault team used when we come to the end of a combat round, and then some of these units end up being destroyed. Warp Storm is, of course, definitely something to look out for, but I'm just trying to think. I think a lot of this is going to have to do with how much does Coteaz value the ability of his henchmen to potentially do that multiple attacks during the range skirmish trick, which can sometimes be great, sometimes it's not that big of a deal. We do see those Guardsman tokens generated, and now we see another copy of Shadowed Thorn's Pillager played, so this is going to be 2 units ambushed in response to 2 troop transports being destroyed. That's going to be another Guardsman token potentially killed unless we see a shield card. But Prezi's doing great economically. He's got those Elysian Assault teams. He does have quite a few shield options in hand. Interesting that he would choose to do this now. So we see an Elysian Assault team put onto the table, and I just find it interesting that we're seeing this at present, because now, I guess, like if Boreas were to use a Warp Storm, he'd presumably kill all of his own units unless he uses Raid as a shield, but without waiting until the last possible moment, this is just going to be another Astra Militarum non-attachment affixed target for that Warp Storm, so it's going to be an attack value of 2, which could clear out one of these Shadowed Thorn's Pillagers. So it's going to be the Elysian Assault team swinging at our first to be ambushed Pillager. Do we see Raid discarded as a shield, or do we see Warp Storm? We do not see anything, and now this is going to be another Guardsman token, presumably attacking that Hellion Gang, and then I definitely would not be surprised if, after this Guardsman token swings, or before, it doesn't really matter too much, if we see that Warp Storm played. Okay, yep, so there's going to be that Warp Storm. That's going to be 2 points of damage to each and every unit at this planet. We can see Raid used as a shield, as I suppose I thought, to protect this Shadowed Thorn's Pillager. And now what sucks for Boreas is he has no shield cards left in hand. So, let's say that Coteaz lets all these dudes die, an Elysian Assault team could get dropped into play. It could take a swing and kill the Shadowed Thorn's Pillager. So without any shield cards in hand, that basically lays all the information out there on the tabletop, and then that'll be another planet captured by prezi. I guess it all just has to do with, like, you know, does prezi want to... like, how much does he want this planet? I think if it were me, I'd use the assault team, and then I'd just continue my economic stranglehold, but clearly prezi is currently thinking about what he wants to do. That's going to be the Elysian assault team, guardsman token destroyed. The Coteaz's henchman was also destroyed, and it looks like this guardsman token is left. So, unless I'm mistaken, did we see a shield card? We did not. So this guardsman token should be dead unless we see it shielded or unless we see it replaced by an Elysian assault team. So what exactly are we going to see? Let me wait a moment and let prezi make up his mind. Okay, so that is indeed going to be an Elysian assault team. Of course, interrupts happen immediately prior to their triggering condition, so prezi was playing it appropriately, waiting a little while to put that guardsman token into play, and now with all the information out there, this is quite clearly going to be the assault team killing off that copy of Shadowthorn's Pillager, and that's going to be this planet 1 by prezi. He's not going to be able to trigger that battle ability, but it is going to be a green strongpoint type icon added to his victory display, and then if he's going to be able to, the following round, win at planet 2 and then 3, that could be the game as early as that. So it looks like prezi momentarily ticked up his resources, but then noticed that Boreas does not have any resources whatsoever, and now, interestingly, we've got combat occurring at planet number 3. So Archon Salaine Morn is going to be able to attack for 2, and then that is basically all the information available there. It's going to be 2 points of damage dealt to Captain Marcus, courtesy of our Archon, and now will we see Marcus sacrificed, or will Coteaz swing for 0? It looks like Coteaz is going to be swinging for absolutely nothing, which is very interesting in my mind. And now what are we going to see here? I guess that Boreas, whom has to decide whether he wants to stay or not first, both players decide to stay, and okay, I guess I should have seen this coming, but yeah, Archon Salaine Morn stays, and now that's going to be Captain Marcus swinging for 2, and then we could see Coteaz sacrifice Marcus, and then use 2 arms to ready the Catachan outpost, and then that is going to be a swing of 5, and that is going to result in a bloodied Archon Salaine Morn, and that is exactly what we're about to see. Captain Marcus hits her for 2, Coteaz is currently at 3. Let's see, 2 arms used. There it is. That's going to be Catachan outpost affecting Coteaz, and that's going to be a bloodied Archon Salaine Morn, and things are about to go from bad to worse for Archon Salaine Morn. So Boreas calls out, wow, that is indeed going to be a swing of 5. Archon Salaine Morn is still a 2/6, but now she has to really worry about being commit to a planet, because if she is destroyed, and note that there's a preemptive barrage right here, then that is going to be the game right there. So out of this 19-person tournament, things are looking pretty good for prezi. He was able to win. He was the champion of the winter 2016 season of Sam Mann's Black Crusade. So out of 115 players, he ended up winning that championship, and it looks like things started off not great for Boreas, and things are continuing to look increasingly good for Coteaz. We go through another HQ phase. That's 4 resources and 2 cards drawn or acquired by each of our players. We have a second copy of Catachan Outpost, and now this is looking really, really poor for Archon Salaine Morn. At planet number 3, Karnath triggered Planum. That was going to be the Rattling Deadeye that had been routed. it was moved to planet number 3. If Archon Salaine Morn arrives there, note that she does not have a copy of Archon's Terror in hand, so she arrives there. That could be a Rattling Deadeye attacking for 5 and practically assassinating Archon Salaine Morn. Interestingly, though, we've got a copy of one of our newest Cabalites. It's going to be the Cabalite Harriers. It's played to planet number 3. After a Cabalite unit enters play at its planets, you deal a 1 damage to a target undamaged unit. Of course, the Rattling Deadeye was undamaged, so it's now destroyed, but Preemptive Barrage with these 2 Catachan outposts could very easily result in an assassinated Archon, so she's basically going to be forced to commit to planet number 3. Note that Boreas has already had to pass. He drew a copy of Slith Mercenary, and that about sucks because, you can toss it out anywhere on the board you'd like for 1, but then your opponent, who has more resources than you, can just purchase control of it, and then it's going to be 1 additional liability out there on the board. So, the only safe place for Archon Salaine Morn to go is going to be planet number 3, so why not send Coteaz, I guess, to planet number 3? Looks like that is going to be what Coteaz is thinking, and now it looks like Archon Salaine Morn, unless she draws some shield cards or something like that, may have just thrown away the game. Planets 1, 2, 3, and 4, yep, this may be the game, we'll have to see. Planets 1 through 4 are all going to be acquired by prezi. And, oh god, to add insult to injury, he even got a copy of 2 arms to add even more assassination power. So what am I trying to say here? During the command struggle resolution, 3 cards, 5 resources for prezi, 2 cards, 5 resources for Boreas, and Boreas did not acquire any shield cards whatsoever, so we've got the Sakhalem Shrine Guard, which could attack for 3. Planet number 1, by the way, is Planum, so we've got an Interrogator Acolyte at that planet. Why don't we see another Sakhalem Shrine Guard move to planet number 5? Because that would be Preemptive Barrage affecting both of these units, giving them ranged. Catachan Outpost on each means that they each attack for 5 because they each attack for 4. I'm so used to thinking of Broderick War. Looks like that was not the case. So Boreas is lamenting that there's nothing he can do, and it looks like prezi is actually playing a little bit conservatively. Like, note that he moved this copy of Sakhalem Shrine Guard over to planet number 3, and we're currently waiting on seeing if Boreas... Alright, so that is going to be that. So that is the GG. Good game right there. Congratulations to prezi for managing to win this tournament. It was the second ever OCTGN, a 19-person event, so congratulations again to prezi for winning the Winter 2016 Black Crusade, and he performed absolutely spectacularly today. So what I would have liked to see happen would have been Planum moving this Sakhalem Shrine Guard over to planet number 5. That would have been 2 attack value units. We could have seen Catachan Outpost used on... well, 1 at a time, but they each could have attacked for 4 apiece. Once you knew that your opponent didn't have like an Archon's Terror to remove 1, you could have used your copy of 2 arms, and then it would have been an attack of 4 and an attack of 6. And of course, our Dark Eldar player didn't have any shield cards in hand, and that would have been a Preemptive Barrage assisted 10 damage during the ranged skirmish round, and that would have been a very, very dead Archon Salaine Morn here. So, fantastic play by prezi. Always great getting the opportunity to see Torquemada Coteaz getting some work done, and unfortunately it was not the world's best draw on part of Boreas, and it was a pretty damn decent draw and just spectacular gameplay by prezi. So, as always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this content, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already, or if you are already subscribed, as ever, you're encouraged to share this content, because the more engagement these videos receive, the more individuals end up stumbling upon Conquest. They might give the game a try, enjoy with the experience, someday join our community, and of course, the greater we are in number, the bigger message we send to Fantasy Flight Games, telling them to continue to develop this fantastic product. If at any point you'd like to get in touch with me, I would encourage you to do so through Facebook or on Twitter, especially if you yourself are a content creator, just so I can help promote your videos or articles or podcasts, whatever it happens to be. So thank you once again for watching. If you ever feel any inclination to support the Hive Tyrant, I would be honored were you to check out my Patreon page, and as always, be sure to check back in again soon for much more Conquest LCG content to come.